Imagine pouring like your entire life into building a community only to watch the people you trusted to protect it just cut and run the exact second danger arrives.
Yeah, it is a brutal thought.
Right. Well, welcome to the deep dive. Today is Friday, June 5th, 2026, and we are looking at the ultimate standard for true devotion. We are pulling this from the Gospel of John, specifically chapter 10, verses 11 through 16.
And, this perfectly aligns with today's liturgical memorial of Saint Boniface. We are looking at a text that sets an incredibly high bar for human behavior.
Definitely. So in John 10, Jesus describes himself as the good shepherd who literally puts his life on the line for his flock.
Exactly.
Mm.
And he compares that to a hired hand.
Mhm.
So someone who abandons the sheep and flees the second a wolf shows up.
Okay, so let's unpack this because it is a brilliant contrast. It really reminds me of the difference between a startup founder who remortgages their house to save the company versus like a consultant who just clocks out at 5 p.m. when a massive PR crisis hits.
That is a great way to look at it.
Right, the hired hand has absolutely no skin in the game. But how does this specific difference in ownership translate to spiritual or community leadership?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the Good Shepherd's ownership isn't transactional at all. It's deeply relational.
Relational, okay.
Yeah, the text emphasizes that the shepherd knows the sheep and they know him. So it's this profound, intimate bond. The hired hand flees because he only values the paycheck.
Not the sheep themselves.
Exactly. And you mentioned Saint Boniface earlier. He is the perfect historical embodiment of this exact dynamic.
I mean, we know he was a martyr, but what does that actually look like in practice? How did he face his wolves?
Well, Boniface wasn't just speaking in lofty metaphors. Back in the 8th century, he was on a mission in Frisia, and his camp was suddenly attacked by hostile pagan mercenaries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and as the leader, the shepherd of that community, he could have easily ordered his armed guards to fight back, or, he could have just slipped away.
Cut his losses like the hired hand?
Right. But instead, he strictly forbade his followers from using weapons. He chose to step right out of his tent, taking the full brunt of the fatal attack just to spare his flock.
That is unbelievable. He literally stepped between his people and the wolves.
He did. He completely refused to play the hired hand.
Wow. That is the ultimate defensive bond. But wait, this is where I actually struggle a bit with the second half of this passage.
No, how so?
Because right after talking about this incredibly intimate defensive sacrifice for the flock, the text completely pivots.
Mhm.
Jesus says, I have other sheep that are not of this fold, and insists they need to be brought in too.
Ah, yes.
Doesn't bringing in all these other sheep kind of dilute the intimacy he just died to protect? I mean, how does that work?
That's a really great pushback, and it gets to the core genius of the passage. Because that extreme sacrifice raises a huge question.
Which is what?
Who exactly are you sacrificing for? The ultimate goal stated in the text isn't to build like a walled garden. It's unity. One flock, one shepherd. It challenges you to look at your own circles. Are you building a closed, defensive fortress where you just hide from the outside world?
Or are you creating an open, welcoming fold?
Exact.
Ah, I see. So true devotion requires both the courage to stay and protect, but also the relentless openness to grow.
You protect the flock you have, absolutely. But you never stop seeking the ones who are still outside. Leadership isn't just about preserving what you have. It's about expanding the reach of that care.
That is a phenomenal takeaway. To wrap up our deep dive today, let's offer a brief concluding prayer to tie all these ideas together.
I think that's a great idea.
Lord, grant us the courage of the Good Shepherd. Help us to never flee when the wolves of fear or division approach, and give us the grace to seek unity, listening always to your voice. Amen.
Amen. And as you go about your day, I want to leave you with a completely different angle to think about.
Oh, what's that?
We spend a lot of time asking ourselves if we are acting like the Good Shepherd. But consider this. When are you actually the wolf?
Oh,
Yeah. When might you be unintentionally creating the fear, stress, or division that scatters the flocks of the people around you?